Hello? Hello?
Podcast Network Asia.
Hey guys, welcome back to Small Talk, small conversations with huge impact. My name is Alec Cuenca, and I'm your host. And before anything else, I want to thank you guys for listening. If this is your first time, then I hope that you check out the other episodes because they have a lot of amazing insights that you can learn as well. And if you are an avid listener of the podcast, and welcome back. I hope that if you enjoyed this episode, and I'm sure that you will, please share it on Instagram, and don't forget to tag me at Small Talk Podcast. And I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart because the podcast grows so much because of you guys. And today is a very, very special episode because I will be talking to a very special guest. Our guest for today is one of the most inspiring people, not only here in the Philippines, but also around the world. He is one of the top ophthalmologists and refractive surgeons in the Philippines. He is currently the president and chairman of the board of the Cebu Doctors Group of Hospital. He is the first Filipino to compete and finish the World Marathon Challenge. He did the unthinkable. He ran 7 marathons in 7 continents in 7 days. He is an avid long-distance runner and one of the best sportsmen in the Philippines. Let's all welcome Dr. Yong Larrazabal III. Dr. Yong, welcome to the show.
Hi, everyone, and hi, Alec. Thank you so much for inviting me to your program. It's an honor to be here. Also, thank you, Bea, A6 also.
Yes, Bea is on the backstage listening to us. Thank you so much, A6, for this episode. And I just want to say that this is my pleasure. This is my honor, actually, Dr. Yong. Thank you so much for allowing me to talk with you on the show. One of the best things about this podcast is that we have a platform to nitpick the mindset of amazing people like you. And I can't wait for our listeners to hear this episode. So let's dive right in. Obviously, you have a lot of accomplishments. You have a lot of recognitions. But can you tell us the story of how it all started for you? How did you get started on running?
Okay. My first sport was really basketball. No? I used to play, of course, since like any other young guys, we play at the grade school, then high school, then college. And then I became an eye surgeon. So, eye surgery, you need all your fingers to do surgery, especially I do surgeries every day. Then I became too stressed already with my work after like 10 years of practice. I decided to go back into basketball. And then the unthinkable happened. No? The ball accidentally hit my little finger of my right hand, no? Which is very important in eye surgery because this is where I rest on the forehead of the patient while doing fine surgery. So I had to think of something else, another sport that would not involve my hands and shoulders. No? So it's a good thing that another fellow doctor, introduced me to running. No? So I joined my first 12K race back in 2006. And then since then, I never looked back. No, I joined competitions, and then finally from 12K, I did a half marathon. Then finally, do my first 42K marathon, which was the Pasig International Marathon back in 2007. And since I discovered the passion of long distance running, marathon running, I kept on improving my time, striving my time. Then I began my journey to run all over the world since then.
Yeah, I think that's really amazing because there are a lot of runners, especially accomplished runners, who have been running all their life. But you only started running back in 2006, am I right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the first time that you joined the competition.
Yes.
And how were you able to say, paano niyo nasabi na parang, okay, running is for me? Because you love basketball, right? You are, I'm assuming you've also participated in other sports.
Yeah.
But when was the moment that you felt like running is for me?
Unlike basketball, which is a team sport, you have to gather 10 players, no? And then you have to look for a venue. Then since I finished work mostly at night, I have to find a venue with good lights, no? So it's very hard. Then when I discovered running, it's so easy because I can run any time of the day, which is perfect for me because I finish my clinic schedule almost late already, like 7 or 8 p.m. Then I have my own time. I just need to have sneakers with me, the good proper habit, posture, and everything. I can do it, train by myself every day. If I can't run outside, I do it in my treadmill. And then I discovered good way of training. I watch a lot of Netflix or Amazon movies while doing the treadmill. No? So it's perfect for me. I do it every day before I sleep, at least an hour and a half. So to date, I've run already 69 full marathons all over the world.
Wow. Okay, 69 full marathons. But can you take us a little bit back on, for example, I could say that when someone introduced you to the sport of running, at first, did you imagine yourself running in the marathons, or would, because you mentioned earlier that it was like something that releases your stress, something that could help you,
Mm.
help your mind at ease. Have you ever imagined yourself, or when you were introduced to running, that you are going to run in the biggest platform of running?
No, that race, the World Marathon Challenge, was first started at 2015. Even until 2015, when I saw an article about that race, I said, "My God, these people are already too crazy already." I mean, we come from a tropical country. Then how would you run in Antarctica? Diba? That's too cold. We're not used to it. I don't think our bodies can ever do that. No. And normally, when we run here after a marathon, we usually rest 3 to 4 months before the next marathon. We don't do it simultaneously, no? Unless you're really, really primed up and trained for this. So I never expected, no? My goal was just to exercise once a day, run, to get fit, eat whatever I want. Then I discovered na it's when I'm running pala, I get to think by myself and I get a lot of ideas, like ideas with my eye practice and in running hospitals. All these ideas come into play when I'm running because I'm by myself just focusing on running, and my mind goes anywhere, no, just to distract myself from running.
Yeah, I love that. That it's not just like running is something that we do with our physical bodies, but it also puts us in a position that gives our head so much space. And I want to talk more about that. Um, of course, you are a very active person. You said you love basketball, but did you notice anything happen differently with your body? In it, some benefits or some advantages that you've seen when you started running?
Yes. First of all, my mind is clear. There's less stress because the running releases natural endorphins in the body. I don't have to go out at night often to unwind because running for me is enough to unwind. No? And also my concentration is better. I can, during meetings, I'm more focused. At the same time, my memory has improved with running. And also, I noticed that with running, before I used to get dizzy a lot when I join my kids when we ride roller coasters, get jet lag. But with running, I don't get any more seasickness or I don't get dizzy anymore. I can ride all the roller coasters in the world and nothing happens and I'm okay. Jet lag, I can easily adapt within 24 to 48 hours. I'm already back there. My natural state is much better as well.
So you mentioned that it helps us with our concentration, and especially in this period, with the pandemic happening, the stress levels are such an it's very overwhelming, and we could say that it's sobrang taas talaga ng stress ngayong pandemic. How have running been a help to you when in it in terms of coping up with the pandemic? And maybe a lot of people, maybe they haven't seen running as a way to cope up with this pandemic. Can you share us a little bit of your experience with the pandemic, how you adjusted, and how running has helped you in that way?
Yeah. One thing we discovered that during this pandemic, there are a lot of mental issues or anxieties that were uncovered, no? Because people were mostly at home, they work at home, and there's so much that comes into their mind, especially with doctors or their residents. We actually had to organize meetings with psychiatrists to talk to them on a regular basis, no? And then me naman, when yeah, of course I get anxious, no? I visit the places. I'm building more beds at that time during June, July when we had an overflow of COVID patients here. Then I notice I get stressed, and when I start running at home, 1 hour, 1 hour and a half, then after I notice that everything just gets released, I'm able to sleep well. I'm thinking everything just resets or goes back to zero as far as my mind is concerned. No? So because of this, I really recommend not only running but any form of exercise, no, especially during this time, no, the pandemic time.
Yeah, I love that. Like when you run, it takes you back to your zero state.
Yes.
And being in an anxious state, and I've felt that a lot of times during this pandemic, it's just that with the news, with everything that's happening, we try to put ourselves in the future state, or in the past state. We hold on to the things that happened, or we try to figure out what's going to happen next. And so we finding a way that we could ground ourselves to to the present moment. It's really helpful for our mental health. And so I love the way how you put running, or you explained, and I'm sure that you practice this, that you experienced this a lot of times, that you just restart, hit a clean state, hit a clean slate, and just go back to the zero. So
Yes.
if you are experiencing, if you're listening to this and you are experiencing a lot of anxiety, I suggest that you see running, or you try running as a way to get back to the present moment. And I really love what you said, but I want to get back on the marathon, the world marathon, because we can try to talk about it, but honestly, when I saw the pictures and just by that sentence itself, 7 continents in 7 days. Can you tell us a little bit about that amazing feature? Go us with the story. Tell us the story of in the beginning of that race and how it moved forward.
Yes. Preparations is very, very important. No, the only thing that held me back for 2 years joining this challenge was the Antarctica. No, so my goal in 2017 was to get the world 6-star world challenge, no, which is to run the 6 major marathons in the world, which includes Boston, London, Chicago, Japan, and Berlin. No? So I did that in 2017, 18, sorry. And in 2019, I wanted to run in all the continents within the year. No? So the last one was Antarctica, December 2019. So when I finished the Antarctic Ice Marathon in December 2019, it's the same organizers. So they showed again the clip of the World Marathon Challenge, which would take place on February the year after, which is 2020. So as soon as I accomplished the Antarctic Ice Marathon, I said to myself, I can do this. No? I can do the most difficult part, which is the Antarctic Ice Marathon. No? That alone gave me the confidence to proceed to finish all the world, to conquer the World Marathon Challenge, which is 7 marathons on 7 continents in 7 days. Now, how I overpassed or was able to overcome the Antarctic Marathon was that my brother-in-law has this storage facility. It's a freezer. It's a warehouse in Mandaue. So we place a treadmill inside and to set to -15, -20. So I bought all my gear. I placed everything and I ran there, no, a couple of times, no. So this gave me the confidence that I can do the Antarctic Marathon. No? So that solved my problem as far as the gear is concerned, what to wear, how thick I'm gonna wear it. That gave me enough. And then my next challenge was doing consecutive marathons, which I've never done before.
Mhm.
So after that, I joined the Cebu Marathon, which was in January. And then the day after, I did another marathon on my treadmill to see how my body will respond to back-to-back marathons. So I was able to do it. And then after that, I started running already morning and night just to make sure that my body can cope up with running daily, morning and night. Because in the marathon challenge, as soon as we arrive per continent from the airport, we're bussed into the marathon venue and start running again. No? It's running every day. Then after you go back to the airport, to the plane, and our only sleep is at the airplane. No? So we just sleep there, and it's not really flat on the plane. It's only 145 degrees. So to each his own. Some would sleep on the floor, at the back of the plane. Then when we this plane that we took to Antarctica was a Russian cargo plane, so there were no proper seats, so we just lie down on the floor when we were on the air. So
Yeah, and
it's a stuff. Very, very good.
that's really amazing because those kind of stuff you can't prepare for that. I mean, with the other
Yes.
with the other stuff like the Antarctica, you prepare for that. But I want to get back on that. Like you said, you had this facility, storage facility that you trained yourself, and I love how you shared
Yes.
your experiences prior to that because we can say that the confidence you had during the marathon itself came from the preparations you made beforehand.
Yes.
But I want to ask, of course, it's still not 100%. Like, even though you have the confidence, can you tell us how you felt when you were running in Antarctica? How different was it from the storage facility? Was it something that you really expected, or it's something that you just brushed or breezed through, or was it really, really hard? That can you tell us a little bit more about that?
The gear was okay, but the only factor na I didn't or no one I did I researched a lot about it. The only factor na I didn't consider was the wind factor, no? Because when there's wind, the temperature increases by 50% even more, no? So the wind was if there's wind, it's really really terrible. So had I known that, I would have placed a big industrial fan on the storage facility to stimulate the wind factor, no, the wind chill there.
Yeah. But I'm sure that you prepared for that, and when you got there, didn't hindi po ba kayo nahirapan? Because not only like physically, but mentally, and Antarctica was the fourth, or what is the placement?
The second
The
marathon.
second.
Yeah, it's
Oh.
supposed to be every challenge. It's supposed to be the first marathon. So,
Mm.
but our first day there, we were supposed to fly to Antarctica. It was canceled twice because the weather in Antarctica was bad. So that's why we started in Cape Town, which is South Africa, and then
Mm.
the organizer got a Russian cargo plane, and the Russian pilot assured him this time that we would fly whether the weather is good or bad, no? Because the Russian plane can take it. But it's supposed to be 1757 plane that takes us to all continents. So except for the Antarctica, we had to take a Russian cargo plane. That's why we all had to sleep on the floor. No? There was no proper seats. The seats are like jump seats, so you sit on the side and it's upright. Yeah, so it's like that. And then the toilet facility of the Russian cargo plane was just two boxes, no, or portable portalets there. So that was it, no.
Those
Then
are something that,
yeah,
yeah, I mean, I'm sorry. I just want to say that those are something that you see on the movies.
yeah,
Like, they don't people who see, like, okay, you run a world marathon. They don't know about those small details. So thank you so
yeah,
much for sharing that.
yeah,
So yeah, continue with your story.
yeah. There was a doctor always with us the entire time. He would regularly check on us, and then he made sure that we were not dehydrated because it's a big factor. So some receive IV fluids, no? And he kept reminding all the participants to add salt on all our diet. Keep putting salt because usually when you run, you lose a lot of salt, no? So you won't get dehydrated. So put salt, put salt. Keep eating the moment you arrive in the plane. Eating, 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 no? So there was one flight that took us almost 20 hours, no? From I think that was from South Africa back to Perth, Australia. It took us 17 hours. So the plane is small. We keep on eating, and then there's only two toilets. So the toilets would get filled up right away, and the smell was really bad. So whenever you're full, you go to a toilet and it smells so bad, you would really vomit everything out. That's another factor. You vomit again because maybe some can take it, but some would really vomit because you're so full, and then the bad smell comes in. So you have after that, then you eat again.
Yeah, I could see from your reaction that you remember the smell and the experience you had
Yeah.
going there. And hey guys, before we head on to the rest of the episode, I'm sure some of you guys are wondering how we collab with brands here in Small Talk. And with that, we use Podmetrics. If you have a podcast, sign up now at podmetrics.co and use the code SMALLTALK, one word, all caps, and in that little way, you can help support the show as well. Oh, and if ever you're an advertiser who wants to collab with Small Talk, head on over to advertiser.podmetrics.co and fill up the form. Again, that's Podmetrics, the easiest way to monetize your podcast. Well, that's really an amazing story, and I want to get more on that. But if I feel like if I talk about that a lot, we're not gonna able to talk about some other things. So I want to go back to the preparations that you do when it comes to marathon. Of course, you train your body. Your body is your temple. But I want to know, how do you train your mindset?
It follows it. If you have, like, example, your body can run consecutive marathons, and then your body also can take. You notice that after training, your body can run morning, noon, or night. So that's second. Third, you've run the toughest marathon already, which is the Antarctica Ice Marathon. So with that preparation, your mind will already tell yourself that, well, you're confident enough, you can do it because you've simulated all possible scenarios that can happen. No? So like one of the most difficult runs for the other runners was in Fortaleza, South America, because we arrived like 10 a.m. So the marathon was noon time. So it's like summer here on noon time. But because I've run several marathons here already, na it's really warm, it was easy for me. So I ended up placing number 4 there. And then the others were doing so well with the Antarctica in the colder areas. We're all having a hard time running the Fortaleza Marathon because it was really too hot. But for me naman, because I come from here, I've done a lot of races during the heat, like Milo Marathon, Pasig. We usually end up around 10 a.m. So I'm used to the heat already. So that was also an advantage for me, which was a lot of runners would very hard, no? Like they're pouring water over their head every like kilometer because of that.
Yeah, I love that. How your experiences connects to upgrading your mindset. Like
Yes.
the main factor how you could train your mindset is to actually putting yourself out there and doing the
Yes.
work, and the experience will eventually shape your mindset. I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
You mentioned about the struggles of the other runners, but I want to know about you. Have you experienced? Of course, I know a lot of all of us experience defeat, but I want to know, how have you handled defeats in your running career?
Fortunately, I've of all the 69 marathons, I've never quit a single marathon in my life. So I'm
Wow.
always finished, no, whether the conditions were really bad, like in Boston there was a storm, and then there was this beach marathon in Denmark. There was a storm as well. It was so cold, and I was running on sand, so double the effort. So all these marathons I finished. So I know in my mind that I can do it. So I just see the finish line, I perceive it, or I already envision myself at the finish line of every marathon. And the good thing about this race also, all the runners here have type A personalities. They're accomplished with their own profession, a lot of athletes. So we're all there really to support each other, encourage each other. So, although some did not make it, some got injured, but we were all there. The mind was set to finish this challenge, no, for most runners.
So you envision yourself already at the finish line.
Yes.
That's That's how you push through. Um, how about the moments? Because I feel like, especially when you're big, you're just a starting or you're just starting with running. I think one of the biggest limitations that people have is their own mind. Like, we put so much limitation na hanggang dito lang yung kaya kong
Yeah.
takbuhin. But for you, you have not failed any marathons that you joined. Can you tell us what's going on inside your mind? Like, do you like tell yourself na you can do this even though your body tells you otherwise, or can you tell us a little bit what's going in your thoughts?
Yeah, one thing that I've learned, no, and one benefit that I got from marathon is I noticed that the mind is so strong. The mind can tell the body what to do. No? As long as you've done the proper research and you've conditioned your body, you did enough training, your mind would tell you, that you can do it because you're already trained for this. No, the goal is always in sight. Just do it, and don't be afraid that you'll get injured or you run out of energy because you've trained for it. No? So it's very important to have the proper mindset. And me, I'm really a very goal oriented person. No? If I set to do something, that means I've already researched a couple of times about it, and I've done due diligence, and I've done the proper training already. I really don't go into something that I'm not prepared for.
Yeah,
That's how I am as a person.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. The mind is so much powerful than our bodies. Now, all right. So my next question for you, Doc. Yeah, I mentioned that I just read the book Shoe Dog, and I was really inspired because it's the story of a runner, and I I basically learned from that runners, they are very delicate when it comes to their gears and equipments. Your shoes are like your swords and your shields, and I want to know, is there any? I mean, what are you looking for in a shoe before you actually use it for your marathons or your trainings?
You'll be running a lot of kilometers, so it should be a proper fit for your shoes. So if you have the means or time, get your feet measured. No, what type of foot position do you have? Are you neutral? Do you overpronate? No, and then second is comfort. No, as long as you're comfortable with it, you won't get injured. And lastly, I want it to be as light as possible. No, because the weight of the shoe will actually, because of this, the number of mileage, the number of kilometers, in the end, every ounce would make a difference. How you run faster and more efficient. No? If you have comfort at the same time and it's very light.
Yeah. The weight of the shoe is very is an important factor to consider, especially if you are a runner. And can I just ask you, do you have any favorite shoe model?
Yes, currently my favorite shoe model is the A6 Meta Racer Tokyo because it's very light. At the same time, it's really comfortable. No? I can run really long distances with it, and then it helps you with a proper positioning where your feet land because of its composition. So that
Mm.
when you run, kasi runners, you don't want to run in the, you don't want to land in the here the ball. No, you want to run here, the front part of the your feet, no, so that your running will be more efficient. So this shoe will help you do that. No? Land on the proper place, no, where your feet should land. No?
Okay. I want to know because you said that there is a certain mileage. Para palang kotse yan, may mileage pala tayo na tinatrack when it comes to shoes. So, do you change? Can you tell us if you change your shoes every race? How often do you change your gear or your shoes particularly?
Normally, I try to keep a pair for the races and another pair for training, no? Because with training, with slow runs naman, you'd need more cushioning, so it would be a little bit heavier, no? At the same time, you have to wear also these shoes for racing, which are the lighter ones, and of course, but you can't wear brand new shoes during a
Mm.
race. You have to run them regularly. That's a invitation for injury or disaster if you wear a new pair of running shoes. You have to break them in. So normally, like for a pair of shoes, I would use this until the 8 to 10 marathons, no? And I would change them. Depends on the type of marathon. Whether the marathon is really fun, I took a long time, so normally 8. But if the time to complete the marathons is like 3 hours plus only, then I can do 10 marathons with one pair of shoes.
That's amazing. This is a little bit personal, but can I just ask, why do you prefer your favorite shoe model, which is the Asics, compared to other brands? Have you tried the other brands, and why is Asics like the perfect fit for you?
Um, because they really study and incorporate technology, not just like the design, the colors, but they really put in a lot into research into technology in how to make running more enjoyable
Mhm.
and more efficient for the runner, no? Which is what I like, no? Since I'm an ophthalmologist and an eye surgeon, I always want the latest technology as far as the eye laser for the eyes are concerned. No? Just like with my gear, especially my shoes, I really want to go or partner with a brand that invests a lot in technology and design.
Yeah. I'm sure that if the people are listening right now, make sure that you are very delicate with the technology, not just the style, not just, the colors of your shoes, but actually the technology that could help you propel to train better and to perform better in your marathons or in whatever you're trying to play in. You said that the shoes is something that makes running enjoyable, but that is not the only thing that makes running enjoyable. I believe that there are a lot of running communities here in the Philippines,
Yes.
and I can you share us? Can you tell us which communities are you a part of, and what is the importance of being a part of a running community?
When you're starting, it's really, really important because um, your fellow runners will encourage you. They'll give you proper tips as far as how conquering a marathon should be, your training and everything. And good thing about running, you rarely see a sad or um, unhappy runner. All runners are usually 99% happy, especially after the race, because they keep exercising, running, and they release natural endorphins. So always after every race, there's a huddle. You gather around people, all the runners, and they're all laughing and happy and talk about their experiences during the last race. No? I established a Run for Sight Foundation here in Cebu because I organize running events for charity here. And all the proceeds of our run, we give to charity. Like we organize medical missions, surgical missions all over the Visayas. No? So that's what I've been doing also for the past 10 years because I noticed when running was very popular in Manila in 2006, there were no running events in Cebu. So I had to fly in Manila often to join races. So I started organizing weekly events here. We only started with 50 people. And until it grew na, to a peak of like 3,000 already started joining them. So the proceeds naman, I didn't want to keep the proceeds. So I established a foundation and all the income here would be donated to charity. Like the last month, after the typhoon hit Manila, I organized I run for Luzon, but this was a virtual run lang because we're not allowed to run yet, no, by the IATF. So we raised 100,000, no, and we're donating this for not relief effort now, but rebuilding efforts now for those affected by the flood in Manila recently.
Wow, that is really inspiring. Not only did running benefit you and your gave you a lot of accomplishment, but it's actually a tool that helped you help other people,
Yes.
create a charity and that encourage people to stay fit and stay healthy, but at the same time help the whatever we're people whoever needs help in this country, not just in Cebu, but you also help in Manila. That's really
Yes.
inspiring. So thank you so much for that.
Mhm.
And I want to ask now. Let's go back a little bit because I'm a big fan of habits. I really when people come to this podcast, I ask them about their habits. And as a runner, I'm sure that you mastered your habits when it comes to training and in marathon. So I have a few questions about habits. The first one being, do you prefer running alone or running in a group, and why?
I prefer training alone. Not because it's by choice. It's because I finish late at work. So normally I finish nighttime already. So I have dinner with my family first, and then after I train by myself, which is sometimes as late as 10 p.m. already. Then I can sleep faster whenever I train. No? So, but of course, during races, I'd rather be around people. No? That's why virtual marathon is quite hard when you're used to running around people because seeing different runners, like also when you run abroad, different countries, yeah, you learn about the culture by observing lang how the runners are and looking around the vicinity. It's very enjoyable running different countries because you get to see the countryside or the city view whenever you're running. You observe a lot of things.
Okay, now the next one I want to know about is, when you are running, do you listen to any music, or what type of music do you listen to?
Um, when I started running, I listened to a lot of music, no, but I've noticed if for 1 or 2 hours after listening straight to music, you'd actually get tired. It's music is good for like 10K, 21, but for long distance
Uh-huh.
marathon, a lot of music that goes into your head too much already would actually cause more exhaustion. So lately, I prefer to just listen to my heartbeat, no, look at my heart rate when I'm running, and enjoying the view and the people around me. So it's actually in certain races they disallow music because they want the runners to be feel more safe. Like when there somebody calls them or warns them that there's something there, the runners won't easily get distracted. No? But depends. Like when I'm training and then I'm not in the mood, I'm so tired, and I use some music to perk me up, no? And then when I get my groove na, then I stop the music na and listen to my steps, my feet, and my heart rate as well.
Yeah, I think that could help running people who runs a lot. When you listen to your own heartbeat, it helps you to really just enjoy the present moment of what you are seeing, what you are hearing, and what you are actually feeling. So yeah, that's something that I would definitely try. I haven't tried running without any music, although I just run for a very short distance. But I would definitely try that to be more present. The next question is, what is your pre-running routine?
Um, Pre-running routine. So normally I would check my gear the night before. I would make sure that my race number is there because without your race number or your chip, then you won't be recognized as part of the race. Second, I always make sure that my gear is intact, like my sneakers, socks, no, um, Vaseline, tapes, and everything, shades, sunglasses if you run in a warm area, and of course, if it's in a cold area, you're running on gear like running jackets and everything. And then in the morning, naman, double check wear everything. Then make sure I just have a power bar with me and gels with me. Because when one marathon, I normally consume two power gels. And the gels very important because when you're running, you lose a lot of nutrients, no, to your sweat. So the one common mistake is runners drink a lot of water, which is wrong because it will cause actually electrolyte imbalance. So what you need are the power drinks, or in my case, are the power gel. No, these are small gel filled with a lot of nutrients, and you just squeeze it in your mouth, and you'll be replenished. No, now, some take it every 10 kilometers. Then I make sure that everything's okay. Then I'm all set. No? I'm all set for the race. Just checking the gear and make sure just I take a very light breakfast before the race. And I make sure pala that the night before I take a full protein meal. No?
Mm.
Usually piece of meat like steak.
Oh, so steak before the day. That would definitely help you out. But that's really interesting. A lot of people don't know that. and I honestly didn't know that coming into this interview, that water is not a good way to replenish the electrolytes that you are losing. So I will definitely keep that in mind. Now, the next question is, what is your post running routine?
Um, After I try to walk first for a couple of minutes. I don't just lie down or sit right away because you want your muscles to relax. No, you're more prone to cramps or injuries if you just suddenly sit after a marathon. And then I make sure that I drink a lot of fluids this time, no, because you want to make sure that you get rehydrated right away, no, an energy drink and a lot of water, no, and I don't stop until I urinate already because there was one time I had kidney stones after a marathon. Because the entire marathon didn't drink anything. I tried to run as fast as I could. I forgot to drink, replenish, and I was dehydrated. No, and when you are severely dehydrated, you're more prone to develop kidney stones. So a few days after I developed kidney stones, so that's why I try to replenish this time after every race. And then I have this compression device at the house, which I use to compress my legs to release those lactic acid. No, it's for 30 minutes after every marathon.
Yeah, that is very interesting. Thank you so much for sharing that. Now, my last question about habit: do you have a favorite time when you run?
A favorite, excuse me?
What's your favorite time? When's the best time that you really enjoy running?
I enjoy running at night, so I enjoy those midnight marathons. Most
Mhm.
marathons before they start at 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. But
Yeah.
lately, the marathons now because of the traffic, they start at midnight na here, like midnight or 1 a.m. So that to avoid traffic and to avoid the sunlight. So that's I love that because first of all, there's less pollution, can
Mm-hmm.
bring cleaner air. Second is the sun. No? You avoid the sun because the sun will really dehydrate you and we can sap out that energy. No? And then you'll finish around 4 or 5 a.m., which is just perfect. No? When you're going home, the sun is rising again and you just sleep. So that's my favorite time. And then when I run in abroad, like in the US, so the time is baliktad, no? So when they run 6 a.m., 7 a.m., it's okay lang because I train at night. So when I race there, it's opposite morning time.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that. I didn't see it that way. That most people would love to run before the sunrise, and I know there are a lot of health benefits when people run during the daylight. But I think there's this peace that comes with running without the sun, because you just focus on your body. It's you and your
Yeah,
body. The environment factors are mas konti na lang. Mas hindi na nakakasagabal
yeah,
sa pagtakbo mo. But
yeah.
um yeah. And so thank you so much for sharing that. Do you have anything?
The thing about because I'm an ophthalmologist, Alex. No?
Mhm.
So the thing about the sun now, the ozone layer is thinner now
Mhm.
compared to 20 years ago. So in my practice, we've seen cataracts normally develop 65 or 70, but
Mhm.
we've seen cataracts now at an earlier age of life, no? Because the sun is different from the sun 20 years ago.
Mhm.
It's more harmful now. So aside from cataracts, you get macular degeneration, which is a problem of the center part of the retina, also caused by the sun. So these things you see this now. So and my advice for those running during the daytime is to really wear a visor and sunglasses, no? Because it's really not helpful now as compared to before our sun, especially in our climate here in the Philippines.
Yeah, I would definitely keep that in mind. If there are people who are listening who want to try running, if you are going to run while the sun is out there, make sure that you have the proper protective gears para maiwasan din natin ng mga complication when it comes to our eyes. And
Yes.
for me naman, I really love waking up before the sun rises, because it gives me like this small accomplishment that, yay, I beat the day before it wakes up. I'm awake. So
Wow.
I really love that. And but yeah, I'll try to test out running in the midnight, nang walang tao, walang pollution, to see how it fits me. And so before we actually end this podcast, I want to know, to summarize everything that we've talked about, do you have any tips for the newcomers to, better themselves and to try to run at long distance marathons?
Yes. As far as tips are concerned, no? First, learn the basics. No, if you don't have access to a trainer, you just research. No? Read, get the running books. Learn the proper stride. Learn where to land your feet, your arm movements, and also get the proper shoes. Very important you get the proper shoes, the proper brand, and the proper type of shoes. No? Because some are flat-footed, some are high arch feet. No, have that. So there are different types of models of shoes for those type of feet. No? And then when you're starting also, it's best that you can join a running group because you'll be more encouraged. No? Now, it's not always about winning the race, but improving your time every time you race. And lastly, it's if you're married or you have a family, running will might take away some time from your loved ones. So if you can involve your loved ones or your family in running, please involve them because it's a wonderful sport that you can do together with your wife or your girlfriend or your family together. That's as what they say. If you run together, no, it'll be a happier life together.
I love that. So, guys, you heard it. If you want to improve your time, first and foremost, do your research. Second is find a group. And third, ask your family or join or, make it a family bonding to spend time with them more by running. I love that, Dr. Yong. Thank you so much for that. But how about advanced runners? Do you have any advice to them?
Yes, always for advanced runners, no, there are times na people will become overconfident na they've done a couple of marathons, so they just join any other marathons. But don't do that. No, always research about the race. Or some races are downhill, some are uphill, some are winding, some of the races are on sand. So always get the proper gear for those types of road surfaces. And at the same time, always do the math. No, so if there's a marathon, make sure you've run the proper mileage. A couple of half marathons first, or at least 132K training, and then because you'll never know. The worst thing that can happen when you've been running for a long time is to get injured and suddenly not run anymore. It's really it's a good thing that never happened to me, but I've had some friends, a lot of friends have experiences, and it's really depressing. So always do the proper training, the proper strengthening, and research so that to prevent injuries, no, for advanced runners.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Lastly, um, can you give us some words of encouragement for the people that want to try running but haven't tried running? What advice can you give to them?
Yes, please try it. No, if you want to live a healthier and longer life, do away with vices like drinking, partying all night. Try running. Running is really beneficial. It helps you look younger. You can eat mostly whatever you want to eat at the same time burn them depending on your age. No, at the same time you'll get a natural high which you won't find like in vices like drinking a lot or smoking or gambling. You do away with those things, everything comes naturally already. At the same time, you'll feel more energetic. And then if you can share this with your loved one, like my wife, she couldn't understand at first why I kept on running. Then she started joining running, and then we do this together, and we have a happier marriage because of this.
So that's it, guys. If you want to have a happier marriage, run with your partners. And I love that. I think a lot of people haven't tried running because they don't understand it and they fear. And but I experience it a lot of sometimes when I run. It's just a totally different experience. But I will definitely try to include running in my own routine, and I hope the people who are listening here right now would do the same, because the natural high that you get from running cannot be matched by the other things that you get around your life. So thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Yong. This has been a really amazing talk with you. I wish I could ask more about the marathon. I was really, really interested in that. But yeah, thank you so much for sharing your experience and your insight. But before I actually let you go, I have a small segment here on Small Talk. It's called Real Talk. Basically, it's like Fast Talk ni Boy Abunda, but it's more wholesome. And I will ask you 5 questions, and you can answer with either one word, one phrase, or one sentence. Are you ready, Dr. Young?
Okay. Oh, okay. Okay.
Okay. So my first question is, if you could talk to your 18-year-old self, what would you say to him?
Start running.
Start running. Okay, that's very straightforward. Start running. Okay, next question. Name a person who you would want to talk to, dead or alive.
My father.
Okay, I gotta ask. I know I'm breaking my own rule, but what would you say to him, or what would you talk about?
First of all, because my dad, who passed away 3 years ago, used to be a very sports-minded person. I'd like to thank him for
Mm,
inspiring me to get. That's why I got into sports, because I idolize him,
that's really beautiful.
and it has shown a lot of benefit not only for myself and my taking over the hospitals. I'm running it better because of his examples given to me. I'd like to thank him. If he were alive again now, I'm
Yeah,
telling that.
yeah. I'm sure your father is very, very proud of you, Dr. Young. My next question is, if you were an animal, what would you be?
Um, I'd probably be a cheetah, because a cheetah runs very fast. Runs very fast, and so elegant the way the cheetah runs, and there's always purpose why a cheetah runs.
Wow, I love that. There's elegance, there's speed, and there's purpose. Now, my last question. Oh, my second to the last question is, if you could change one thing in this world, what would it be?
Um, Probably climate change, because like runners, we're limited because we can't run in some areas already because of pollution.
Mm-hmm.
I wish that people 100 years ago, sana they take good care of our climate, so that our next generation 50 years from now will still enjoy, running around nature and running around different countries where there are no limitations as far as the destruction of our the climate has
Yeah.
caused.
Hopefully,
It will affect eventually all
yeah.
runners.
Hopefully, it's not yet too late for us to, fix whatever the people broke before. And my last question is, what do you want your legacy to be known for?
Um, my legacy is, I want to live a life that, because I don't think any material wealth or any titles that I've gained, people won't remember you or me for that. No, people will remember me for the number of people whose lives I've touched and helped. So one way is showing them and sharing my experiences, so that they may also live a healthier and more meaningful life.
That's really beautiful, Dr. Yong. I'm sure people who are listening to the podcast are lives that you have touched. So thank you so much, Dr. Yong. This has been a pleasure. It's really an amazing experience to talk with amazing people like you. So thank you for this opportunity. If people want to find you online, if they want to connect with you, where can they find you? Drop your social media accounts. How could they connect with you?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram, Yong Larrazabal, and I also have a page on Facebook, Yong Larrazabal the third. I.
That's it, you guys. Follow Dr. Yong. I'm sure you will not only get inspired about his running stories, but you will also be educated and get encouraged not only to take care of your physical health about when it comes to running, but also about your eye. He's one of the top surgeons, the top ophthalmologists in the country. So make sure that you follow him and learn from whatever he is trying to give to this world. Again, maraming salamat, Dr. Young. This has been a pleasure.
Thank you so much, Alex.
Yes, again, guys, if you love this episode, if you connected with this episode, then please share it with the people that you love. Share it on Instagram. Tag us It's my my IG handle is at Small Talk Podcast, and Dr. Yong. You could tag Dr. Yong as well. And please, if you are listening on Apple Podcasts, make sure that you leave the podcast a rating and review. It helps the podcast a lot. So I hope you learned something from this episode, guys. Thank you so much for listening. My name is Alec Cuenca. This is Small Talk, small conversations with huge impact. And I will talk to you guys next episode. Bye-bye.
The views and opinions expressed by the podcast creators, hosts, and guests do not necessarily reflect the official policy and position of Podcast Network Asia. Any content provided by the people on the podcast are of their own opinion and are not intended to malign any religion, ethnic group, club, organization, company, individual, or anyone or anything.